Hey everybody, welcome back to the Flannel Phillip channel. Today, I'm excited to show you this awesome machine. It's owned by my buddy Nick Nelson. He's gonna give us a full tour, so stick around. All right, well, I'm here with Nick Nelson. He's gonna take us on a walk around of this Kenworth that belongs to him. So tell us all about it, man.
All right, man. This truck is a 1951 Kenworth, model 825.
Yeah.
Originally, this truck was a United Truck Lines out of Spokane, Washington.
Okay.
So the thing was all red, tartar red is what they called it.
Huh.
All red, grill, wheels, hood, fenders, cab, everything.
Okay.
Day cab. They usually had a spare tire rack behind it. They ran in Northwest Washington, Oregon, down into California, Idaho, I think, kind of that line haul.
Sure.
They pulled trailers pretty similar to the reefer that I have on it right now.
Yeah.
And van trailers, a lot of van trailers.
Okay.
United Truck Lines merged with United Ringsby, and then it was Ringsby Buckingham, or one of them. They had all merged together over time.
Yeah.
In 1970, I want to say 73, this one and a sister truck that was a couple serial numbers off were sold to Height Crane and Rigging, which is on the door.
Okay.
So I'm guessing it ran for them pulling flatbeds with weights on them, or
Sure.
not really a heavy haul truck. So I'm guessing it was just something to that effect.
Yeah.
They're still in business. I think they sold out to another company, but they were around.
Okay.
I think it was in the late 70s or early 80s. Al Koning from Midwest Specialized. He's a huge Kenworth historian.
Yeah. Okay.
He ended up buying the truck from Height Crane and Rigging with all the paperwork and the line sheet and all that. Come to find out, the truck had originally a Buda engine in it, B-U-D-A.
Whoa.
A Buda diesel engine.
Huh. Okay.
They were a very big engine.
Wow.
Very powerful. The only problem was that they had an issue with, I think it was the bolts were not long enough in the crank, the cap to go up into the crank.
Oh, okay.
And they had a weak spot. They had good power.
Okay.
Buda ended up having issues with them. So the story I had heard from Al is that they had actually recalled the truck and then installed a 220 Cummins in it.
Gotcha.
So that's how it ended up with a 220. Originally, it had a center dump manifold that would have come 3 and 3 and then go down the bottom.
Yeah. Okay.
And a rear dump manifold's always louder.
Sure.
Because your 5 and number 6 hole go right out the back.
Yeah.
So down up at the junkyard, there was an old 60s Emeryville cab over. They had one on it on a 220 and ended up buying that and taking it off the truck.
Okay.
Ended up finding out it's a split rear dump, so actually you got a baffle that runs underneath in the back and the top, which makes it even more peppy, I guess.
Yeah.
It sounds like a machine gun going down.
Oh yeah. I remember you at the truck pull in Kasson, and this thing just raps. It's so loud. It's a lot of fun to watch it go down the track.
There's a lot of videos out there, people taking on YouTube, and on the 1951 Kenworth, and that's pretty neat.
Definitely.
Besides that, I mean, the truck was sold to Al. From Al, it went to another guy, and then my friend of mine in town here, and he ended up wanting to sell it. Actually, it was not too long after the 70, the turquoise truck, I bought this that same year.
Gotcha.
My wife was super happy. So, so really, I mean, I haven't really done much. I'd like to get some better road tires on it. These super grippy ones a friend of ours gave us years and years ago, and it took 2 weeks to dismount and remount all these tube tires.
Oh, wow.
And on aluminum rims, which was no small feat on it to its own, trying to get the steel rings not blow your brains out.
Oh man, no kidding.
They're not in too great a shape, but they're some old Alcoas.
That is super cool.
Got torsion bar suspension in the back.
Okay. Yeah.
Torsion bar, and then it's got Timken rear ends.
Yeah.
And they're a top loader worm drive, kind of like a Mack.
Okay.
There's a big brass gear in there.
Wow.
can't remember the gear ratio. I think it's like a 618, somewhere right, 617 gear ratio, I think.
Okay.
So it had a 4-speed with a 3-speed auxiliary. It's got a 4 and a 4 now. I took a bearing out on it. So
okay.
but it'll top out, about 55 miles an hour at 2100, 2200 RPM.
Sure. Wow. We'll get a shot from back in here too. Just a piece of history. Can still.
It's one of those things you always want to update, put an air ride on it, and then all of a sudden you look back and go, they don't make them anymore.
Right.
Let's leave the suspension alone.
Right.
So the sleeper it never had a sleeper on it factory.
Okay.
I had a thing for Mercury's for a long time.
Yeah.
This one I ended up buying probably about 20 years ago out of California, out of Cortland Truck Works. They had one.
Okay.
At the time it was a lot of money for one, but it was very, very nice.
You bet.
$1,500, I think I paid $1,500 for it,
Sure.
Got it. Well, UPS had drove a forklift right through the back of it.
Oh, man
It took about 12 years to find somebody that would make me a skin, because you got to kiss the lines and then you got to bend it. They go straight in about 3/4 of an inch around the lip, and then it tucks in down behind here.
Oh. So that's no easy feat. You don't just slap it on there and rivet it.
No, and you got to make sure your width is right too, because
Sure.
when you start riveting center and out, your buck riveting, end up with a wrinkle over here. You're in deep duty.
Yeah, yeah,
So measurements got to be dead on it.
Oh, boy, oh boy.
Yeah, I had a friend who's kind of a Mercury historian. It's kind of hard to read the sticker. I wish you could read it better. But it's Mercury Fabricators.
Okay.
Out of Bell, California. And Bell was the first, they had I think 4 manufacturing places throughout the years that they made Mercuries.
Okay.
And Bell was the first one.
So that was like their original
This was
manufacturing
the original place. And I had a guy,
Wow.
a guy who's kind of a Mercury historian. He's online.
Yeah.
And he had said, a couple years ago I had met him, and he had said that he has never seen a Bell before, so this has got to be one of the older ones out there.
Wow.
So kind of a unique piece.
Yeah, absolutely.
Unique
Yeah.
piece. We ended up doing our first interior job on it a couple years ago.
Okay.
Trying that out for the first time. It ended up turning out pretty good.
Yeah. We'll take a peek inside.
Nothing too exciting in here.
Pretty
It's got
spartan.
your tattletale tack and speedometer. Back in the day,
yeah.
you really didn't have a speedometer on your dash, and so it's kind
Sure.
of your old school E-logs. I'm sure you remember those, or you knew of them. I mean, I was taught how to use them back then, and you took your key and you opened up the door, and then
Sure.
inside you had
Yep.
yeah, you could open up the other one.
Oh, okay.
And you'd put a little round disc in there, looked like a CD. You'd put it in there, a paper disc, and there's 2 ink pens in there.
Wow.
One for your time. So every morning you'd wind up the clock, you'd set your time, and then the other, you'd shut the door, and then your other needle would mark your, I guess that would be your speedometer on top.
Your speed up here.
And then the other one, you put another disc in there that would mark your time, set that,
Yeah.
with your other one, and then that would mark your RPM. So
Wow.
how it worked, I guess, is it would every RPM and speed move that you'd make with the truck would be an ink pen scratch on the paper disc.
Wow.
So it's kind of an E-log. They could actually tell where you stopped, how long you stopped, and then
Yeah.
how high RPMs you're running. Are you abusing the truck? You're running too high RPM. You're taking too much time on your deliveries.
Wow.
So on and so forth. So yeah, they were trying to keep tabs on us drivers back even then. So.
Yeah. No kidding. That's not a new thing to check up on your drivers.
No.
Oh man.
Is it your wig wag up here?
Yeah.
It's supposed to be down. There
Yeah,
we
we're
go.
out of air. There we go. Yep. That's cool. And the transmissions on this one, you said, are
4-speed with a 4-speed auxiliary.
4 and a 4.
Yep.
Yeah.
Had a 3-speed overdrive in it, and I'd flattened a bearing on it, truck pulling. So
Gotcha.
yeah, no headliner. They kind of had a kind of a cardboard, painted cardboard headliner in them.
Sure.
So and then plastic around the sides, but it's kind of hard to find a truck from the 50s that just has cardboard.
Totally. Here's your heater controls. Let's flip the doors open.
Wow. But yeah, we took all the panels out and then recut new panels out of what's that, like a Brazilian cherry something, grain plywood, 1/4 inch plywood. And then we put carpet pad down, half-inch carpet pad, our first attempt, and then
looks great.
Wrapped everything under the bed, all your cross beams. Got 520 screws invested into this bad boy. Chalk lined all the lines, measure everything that way, and then stick your screws in.
Bob Vila would be very proud. I love it. That is killer. I love it. Very cool. Tell us about this wagon here too.
The old wagon. It's I don't really know much history on it. It's titled as a Kentucky, but you can clearly see it's not. So it was a construction trailer at one time. I bought it from a friend of mine.
Okay.
Originally, it would have had a bunker blower on it. You can still see some of the marks where the bunker blower would have been. Up here, there would have been a step and then a thing that would have sat up on top from what we can figure out on the inside and all that.
Sure.
Somebody updated it, I'm sure, in the late 50s when bigger units came out, the shorter ones that stuck out the front of the trailers.
Yeah.
And so, I don't really know much history on it, I guess. It's got torsion bar suspension under it.
Okay.
Kind of a unique thing. Reuhoff had their own torsion bars. So.
Yeah.
Let all the bolts in the whole brake chamber.
Man, oh man. That is something else. Very, very cool. Absolutely. Man, that is cool.
Yeah, these old trailers had a hard life.
But to see it hooked onto this truck, it's just super, super cool.
Yeah, it wouldn't be too far out of what it would have pulled. From the pictures I've seen from United Truck Lines, they had different van trailers, but I've also seen some stainless Reuhoffs too.
Yeah. Wow.
I've owned the truck for it's got to be almost 20 years next year, I think, and we've truck pulled it at Kasson probably every year since I've had it.
That's cool.
I pulled it up at another county fair another time and beat a dump truck. Thought that was pretty cool. For 220. I had a guy up in the cities go through the pump on it, and he cranked it all the way up as far as he goes. So pulling a trailer would probably blow the motor up. So at nighttime on a 220 or motors that didn't have a turbo, you had this stack mirror right here. Here, let's put the hood down. You can see a little bit better.
Sure. I've wondered before what that was.
Yeah, they call them
watching your coolant to make sure you weren't blowing any coolant out of your radiator cap, right?
So what you do with a stack mirror when you're sitting in there as a driver?
Yeah.
This truck only came factory with a single stack.
Okay. Yeah.
I think it's off a little bit, but we added another one. We made a mount for it and that. But you would drive, and when you on a 220 at 2100 RPM, you know, with no turbo, you would actually throw flame out the stack. And, you know, it could be anywhere from, I've heard, a foot, you know, 6 inches. So when the flame would disappear, you'd watch if the flame disappeared down your stack, which would be, you know, now it's time to downshift. You know, you're pulling the motor down too hard.
Yeah.
So guys that hauled hay could catch loads on fire. So they would have like a muffler, but it looked like a spark arrestor halfway up.
Okay.
Kind of a bulb here, you know.
Yeah.
And then that would catch it, so it wouldn't start the load of hay on fire. Because out in California, you have like a flatbed, and then you have another trailer behind it. You know,
Yeah.
like a body on the truck itself.
Sure. It's almost like an old steam locomotive that would be throwing cinders and catching the tops of the cars on fire. You need that mirror. Wow. That's
Someday
really
I'll
cool.
find one that's a little bit more accurate, you know, for what do you call it, more age.
Sure.
Truck.
Sure. Wow. That is awesome, Nick. Well, thank you for giving us the tour.
Absolutely.
It's a beautiful piece of history. Well, hey, if you stuck around to the end of the video, thank you for coming along. I love old machines like this, and I'm really blessed to have friends like Nick that can give us a tour of some of his awesome trucks. So, peace and grease, everybody. Thanks again.